Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live stream. AQA GCSE Geography, Paper 2, Economic World. How are we? Hit us up in the chat, guys. Say hello. Who is in tonight's revision session? I'm hoping there's a few more tonight than, I don't know, because there's English exam. Is it right? Am I right in thinking there's an English exam tomorrow? I think there is. English literature. But who's in? Say hello. Let us, just basically say hello, yeah. Also, I'd love to know how Paper 1 Geography went. How did Paper 1 Geography go? Yes, there is. I thought there was an English exam. Yeah, best of luck for English tomorrow. English Lit, I think it is. English Literature, I think. But yeah, best of luck with that tomorrow. Hopefully the preparations are going well. Yes, lots of people in the chat. Thank you so much for saying hello. Ernie, yes, nice one, Ernie. Check out his website. Check out his YouTube channel, Theme Park Ernie. Fantastic little YouTube channel, it really is. Linked to theme park, so check it out. Like, subscribe, and I think there's a recent video there. So it's a channel that I follow as well. Good evening, Fred. Good to see you. Thank you very much for dropping in and joining us this evening. We're going to spend about 45 minutes tonight talking about the UK economy. That's tonight's revision. Getting you ready for Paper 2 on the 3rd of June. Corey, good to see you, Corey. Thank you very much for dropping by. I saw you earlier, actually, today. Saying hello. Who else we got? We got Paper 1 was all right. Good. I don't know if all right's good. Is all right good? I don't know. All right sounds a bit iffy. Which sections did you enjoy? Which ones perhaps did you... Any questions you particularly struggled with in that Paper 1? Let me know. Joan, hiya, Joan. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, we're gonna keep it quite brief tonight because I haven't got a quiz because I haven't made one. Yeah, I haven't got a quiz, and I know you got English as well, so we're gonna keep it as brief as possible. Joan, you thought the paper was good? Yes, I like that. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was good. I'll reword that. All right, good, yeah, awesome. Only coasts and rivers was mild. So you enjoyed the hazards, you enjoyed the living world. They're the bigger sections for the marks as well, so well done. So 1 down, 2 to go. Human Paper 1, so Human Geography Paper 2 on the 3rd of June, and then the 11th of June is your decision-making paper as well. So you've got 2 more to go. Let's talk about the UK economy in today's session. I think we're going to get started in the next minute. But before we do, have you got your cup of tea ready? Have you got your snacks ready? What have you got to get you through tonight's revision? I'm hoping as well, Corey, that no one did question 5. Yeah, hopefully not. Who would do question 5 after all the messages? Hey, Theme Park Ernie. Nice one. Good to see you. Cheers to that. Check out his YouTube channel. As I said, it's really good. Well worth a watch. Well worth a watch. And a subscribe, definitely. So thanks for dropping in. Me, myself, and I. Just you. You're on your own. No drinks, no cup of tea, not even a little biscuit. Penguin biscuit. Here we go. How does a penguin make pancakes? Hit us up in the chat. How does a penguin make pancakes? Punchline. You ready? With its flippers. It flips. Very good. With its flippers. There you go. Right, let's get down to some revision then. We're going to talk about the UK economy. That was terrible, wasn't it? I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. Yes, do it. You need a cup of tea. Get yourself through the revision. Right, let's get started on our revision then. I'm just going to change cameras and switch screens. The technology is there. Look at that. Here we go. So all our revision tonight on tonight's live stream is all based on Paper 2, Human Geography. Let me just get you in focus. Here we go. So get your notepads out. Here we go. Paper 2, Human Geography. Yeah. And we are preparing for question 2. Which is UK economics we're going to look at tonight. because there's a lot to be done with UK economics. It's in a bit of an old state, our economy at the moment. It's not really growing anywhere. It's not really growing or anything like that. But UK economics, and this is for the 3rd of June. Yeah. By the way, I haven't said it yet, but hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. More content coming your way for the 2026 season, all with our exam preparations well underway here on the channel. We are loving exam season. So let's go on to our timeline of economics. So this one is based on economic change in the UK. So if you get a question on economic change over time in the UK, this is the sorts of things that you can talk about. So economic change, we're going to do a bit of a, well, we're going to do a little timeline of key events here. So let's get that onto there. Here's our little timeline. So we're going to do pre-1945 era, and I'm going to build some huge industrial factories because Britain was in its industrial era. 1900s to 1945, this was industrial Britain. Very iconic. What you might know as the Industrial Revolution. We were in our industrial era. What does that mean? It was mass manufacturing. So we were manufacturing goods to be exported all around the world. These were the good times. Mass manufacturing. We were the wealthiest country in the world. Wealthiest country. Yeah, in the world at this particular point with our mass manufacturing. Let's just name some examples. We had brewing industry in Burton. In fact, we still have that. We're so lucky to have that industry that survived the test of economic change. Yeah, really, really lucky. We had the silk mills of Derby. Unfortunately, they didn't survive. The textile mills of Derby. And let's talk about the steel industry in Sheffield. All of these huge manufacturing businesses were doing very, very well. Secondary industry dominated. So we were dominated by secondary industry, which is to make products. That was a dominant feature. And we had high exports. Not only were we producing goods for the UK markets, but we're exporting them around the world. The UK was this economic machine, this economic powerhouse of the UK, and most of this was happening in the north of England. So it was the northern cities that really benefited from this huge industrial era. Many people were employed in industrial jobs, working in the mills, working in the factories in northern England, and that's really important for our story. And then we get to the kind of 1960s to the 1980s, which this was a really difficult, 1980s, 1960s to the 1980s, and this was a real sad time for the UK, and we saw a rapid amount of closures of industries. That's somebody who's very worried. And now a factory that is closed. Let's get a big sign up there. Closed. This was largely to do with government policy at the time. Let's put some. This is a factory that's basically broken. There we go, guys. And our factories closed due to government policy, and the cost of running factories in the UK became unviable. It became too expensive. So a key word here we need is deindustrialization. Deindustrialization. That is absolutely critical. Let's highlight that. Deindustrialization was between the 1960s and 1980s. And what happened in that particular point? We had a lot of closure of manufacturing industry. And this was due to the government selling off their assets. So the government sold off many state-owned businesses. Government sold off state-owned industries. State-owned industries, such as British Steel, British Coal. This was a really difficult time for the UK. British Steel, British Coal, yeah, all of these state-owned businesses were sold off by the government and privatized. We had a lot of privatization, which wasn't great. So the 1960s to 1980s was a difficult time. Many people lost their jobs, job losses. Yeah, because of the mass deindustrialization. In particular, again, this is in northern England. Remember, that's where the factories were. This is where people lost their jobs. There was also a lot of strikes, which is where people went out and tried to protest against the government, yeah, against losing their jobs and closing their industries. So there was lots of strike action in the UK. Difficult times. The miners' strike, the steel worker strikes, they were all happening between that particular era. Now we live in a, well, since about the 1990s to today, up to today, we live in something called the post-industrial era. The post-industrial era, which is very different. Okay, I'm going to highlight that post-industrial era. So post means after the Industrial Revolution. So there we are. So today's jobs are very different. They tend to be high tech. Yeah, that's the internet. High tech industries. That's a feature. We also have very global businesses now because of the foundations of the internet and things like that. We have global internet services. So now we live in a very global business environment, providing global services such as finance and banking. We've got all of these things here. So post-industrial era is categorized by a rise in the tertiary sector. Tertiary jobs, which are services, providing the service for other people. 80% of UK people, people in the UK work in the tertiary sector of jobs. That includes things like finance, education, teaching, healthcare. These are all big employers now in the UK. Finance, education, healthcare, massive, and technology, tech companies as well, all on the rise in the UK. We've also got a rise in quaternary sector jobs. I'll just underline these. Quaternary, such as research-based and what we call the knowledge-based economy. Knowledge-based economy. So we can sell knowledge now to countries, knowledge of how to use certain technologies. The best example is the AstraZeneca virus. So the AstraZeneca vaccination that helped to tackle COVID. That was developed here in the UK. We can be very proud of that. That helped to tackle COVID in the pandemic. So yeah, really, really powerful invention to help the spread of the COVID virus, which is really bad. So our economy is now shifted to this global high-tech economy, knowledge-based economy, often requiring high levels of education and high levels of technology. So let's just get that's like a university hat, basically. Yeah. Highly educated, highly global, high technologies. That's where we've shifted. So over time, as you can see, we've been on a bit of a journey from industrial era secondary jobs to deindustrialization and that transformation now into this high-tech post-industrial economy. It's very productive, but ideally, we've gone from jobs being really pushed into the north of England. The south of England is very good at the current areas of employment like technology, banking, finance. The jobs have shifted more so in favor of the south of England as away from the northern areas. Which leads me on to talking about the north-south divide. So let's find another little space here. The north-south divide. So I'm going to put a little subheading. North-south divide in the UK. This is linked to inequality. So because of this shift in the timeline, shift also in the wealth of our country. The north is significantly poorer and more deprived than the south. Okay, and we're getting this development gap here in the UK. So we're going to draw a quick sketch of the UK. This is how I draw my quick sketch of the UK. There we go. This is the north and this is the south. Okay. The north is doing significantly better in terms of its economy and wealth than the south. So let's just make that a bit more visual. People in the north are much more worried about their futures and their jobs and things like that, as opposed to people in the south of England. They are much more prosperous. Okay. So the north is characterized by, well, before 1940, it was known as the Northern Powerhouse, the powerhouse of industry, the powerhouse of the economy, the powerhouse of where not all, but a lot of the jobs were in the UK. I'm just going to highlight that. So the north of England was characterized by the Northern Powerhouse. However, it's not any longer. It was massively impacted by deindustrialization of industries, the closure of the factories in the era of Margaret Thatcher. She was trying to create greater efficiency in UK business, and that led to massive deindustrialization in the north of the UK. That led to massive amounts of unemployment in the northern areas of the UK, massive amount of jobs, and then that led to the spiral of decline in northern regions. The spiral of decline means that people lost their jobs, they had less money to spend, less money gets spent in the local economy, and that then leads to further problems with low aspirations in school, failing services in the area, and that's a real negative of the north of England. So a couple of facts about the north of England. It is massively impacted by unemployment. Life expectancy is a little bit lower in the north of England. So life expectancy in the north of England in places around, let's say, Blackpool, which is one of the poorest areas in the north of England, Blackpool, is around about 75 years. So significant inequality there. As opposed to the south of England, which was much higher. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. But the south of England is much, much higher. So unemployment is high. You've got lots of deindustrialization, and you've got lots of you've got higher levels of poverty. The average weekly wage in places like Yorkshire is about £500 per week. So much lower wages in those existing northern areas of the UK. That's impacted things like the house prices, much lower in the north of the UK as well. Right, the south never really had the mass manufacturing. It's always been a service-based economy, so they've always benefited from there. London in particular generates 22% of the UK's wealth. So 22% of the whole of the UK's wealth comes from that one city. It seems to have dragged in the talent. There is a lot of investment in business down there, and they are very productive. The talented, educated, highly productive people are working down in London. Not all of them, but there is a big skill of people down there, and they're creating a quarter pretty much of the UK's wealth. which is significant. House prices, though, are much higher. House prices average in the south to about £500,000. So house prices down there about 500,000. In the north, they can be as low as 100,000. Yeah, massive differences in house prices and wealth. Average weekly wage. Average weekly wage in the south is around about £750 per week, which is much higher. It's £250 higher than the north of England, so significantly higher. With higher wages comes a better quality of life. Let's have a look at life expectancy. Life expectancy in some areas of the UK, such as areas of Kensington in Western London, is around about 84 years, their life expectancy, one of the highest in the UK, because they've got their higher wealth. They can spend more money on diet, on fitness, on gyms, early retirement, all the things, holidays, all the things that make us live a happier and longer life. The other thing as well is that the government of the UK do invest more money in the south of England. It really does frustrate me. It should be, there should be equality with the government investment, but the government invests far more money in services in London than they do in places in the north, such as Burton. So the south does get higher government investment, which is a bit frustrating when you are listening to this live stream from a northern area of the UK, but they do get the high amounts of spending by government. So in the UK, we have what we call a development gap. There is a gap between rich and poor. The north of England really does need some support. It really needs some help to get the economies going again. It's been massively impacted by deindustrialization of the steelworks, the mills, and those sort of things. So now I'm going to talk about what are the government doing to try and close this development gap. So they have a three-pronged attack. Okay, so here we go. Let's just put it under here. Government's plan to reduce the north-south divide. Now, we've had two governments at the moment who have been working on this. We had the Conservative government and we've now got the Labour government. And this is a massive agenda in current governments. And the policy is called levelling up. This is a really important part of the knowledge here. It's called levelling up. Trying to level up or balance up. Maybe let's draw some scales here. The north with the south of England in terms of opportunities and the wealth of the economies, trying to level it up between the wealth of the, we're going to draw a dollar sign then, the wealth of the northern economies with the south. At the moment, it's completely favouring the south of England. So what are they doing? Let's have a quick look. There's three strategies. You can let me know in the chat how good you think they are getting on with these three strategies. The first one is devolution. Devolution of government. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means giving more power to the local council in that area in the north of England to spend the money on local projects. So people who are watching this from my school in Burton, they've done a lot here. The Burton High Street project, all that regeneration around the washlands and around the High Street of Burton, that's all paid for. That 23 million has come from central government. They've given it to the local council of Burton, East Staffordshire Council, and now they're spending that money on the Levelling Up project. So devolution of government is to give funding and power to local councils. So instead of central government deciding what needs to be done in these northern towns, they give the power to the local councillors. So and if they make the right decisions, then that's good, isn't it? Hopefully they do. Strategy number two, we're going to go into a little bit more detail with, which is creating enterprise zones for business. Enterprise zones. They do this very well in many countries to create jobs. So enterprise zones are things like business parks to create jobs. So trying to attract businesses to the northern cities such as Burton, trying to attract the businesses there, or if the businesses are there, they will create the jobs. Enterprise parks is all about job creation. We're going to talk more about those in a minute. And then last one is infrastructure. So trying to make sure that the north is more connected. And we're going to talk about one of these as well. Infrastructure projects, which is about improving connectivity between the north of England and the south. So this can be things like internet, new roads and things, and in particular, rail. And we're going to talk about HS2 in tonight's live stream. High Speed Rail 2 is one of the major projects to try and level up the country and trying to level up the economies and provide more opportunities for us northern inhabitants of the UK, trying to give us more money in our pockets, more job opportunities and things like that. So that's the government plans, threefold: devolution, give power to local governments, create job parks and enterprise business parks in the north, and infrastructure projects as well. So let's talk about some of those ideas. I'm just going to draw a little line just to divide these bits off. We're going to get a lot of revision here on one page, all about the UK economy, which will be good. Okay, so I've just divided that off there. As you can see, there we go. I'm going to head over here and we're going to now talk about some of the issues facing the UK economy. And then we're going to talk about, oh no, in fact, actually, should we do HS2? Because that seems to make sense to do HS2 now, because it kind of links to what we've talked about down here. So let me talk about HS2 first up here and what is happening with HS2. So HS2 is transport infrastructure. So it's a new transport infrastructure project led by the government. It stands for High Speed Rail 2. High Speed Rail 1 was the Victorian era. So we had High Speed Rail 1 during the Victorian. That's when they built most of the railways in Britain. So this is a major rollout of High Speed Rail 2, which connects, obviously, Birmingham to London. It's an example of a government-led project. So it's government-led. It's paid for by taxpayers' money. So this is all coming from taxpayers' money. And it means it's a top-down development project. So because the government are developing this project, it's a top-down development project that's government-led, paid by your parents, the taxpayer. So let's just outline kind of the strengths and weaknesses of this project. We're going to draw a little table. How is the government getting on with HS2, I may ask? Yes, it's not one of their glowing moments, I don't think. So I'm going to put the strengths on this side and some of the weaknesses over here. And we're trying to add this into a bit of a case study, as it were. So, strengths and weaknesses of HS2 high-speed railway line. Well, let's have a little look. The first one, what's good about it is it's going to improve connectivity. So it's going to improve connectivity between London and Birmingham. Yeah. This leg is supposed to be finished by 2027, so not that long. Maybe 2028 if it's a little bit more delayed. But they're going to have that up and running by 2027 to 2028, linking London to Birmingham. And the train times are going to be so much quicker as well. I don't know if I've got a fact about the speed of the journeys. No. Is it about 50 minutes? Because somebody in the chat just let us know with HS2, how long is it going to take to get between London and Birmingham? I think it's about 50 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. If you can get from London to Birmingham in 50 minutes, but I think it's about 50 minutes. But if someone can let me know, that would be amazing. How long will it take to get between London and Birmingham with the new HS2 railway? So, yeah, we've got increased connectivity. We've also got increased capacity on the railway. It's a brand new railway line. It's actually got 4 lines, 2 one way, 2 the other, as far as I know. So we're going to have increased capacity for passengers, people traveling to work, which is obviously good for the economy, and also freight, which is things for businesses. That's going to help with trade. So they're going to be moving goods on this railway as well as people on the railway as well, which is fantastic. 50 minutes, yes. Thank you, guys. 45 to 49 minutes, yeah. Let's just put 50 minutes. I thought it was 50 minutes. I should have just been more confident, but you're absolutely brilliant. Yeah, currently I think it's about 1 hour and 25 minutes. So it's going to take off about half an hour off the journey time. So if you can live in London, go to Birmingham in much quicker time. 50 minutes, that's super fast, isn't it? Also, it's created huge amounts of jobs in the construction phase. Over 22,000 jobs working on HS2. That is fantastic. 22,000 jobs created through the HS2 project, which is brilliant for the UK economy, created through construction of this new railway line. Again, which is good for the economy, and that will boost spending. If people have got more money, when you get money in your pocket, I'm sure you spend it. So the more money we've got, the more spending we have. That is called the multiplier effect, which is fantastic. Right, now on to the weaknesses of HS2. And there are many, I'm afraid. There are many. What have they got wrong? It's going to cost, at the moment, it's costing over £100 billion of taxpayers' money. Absolutely crazy. The government have lost control of the spending on this project. It's hugely expensive. In fact, it's the world's most expensive railway. It's the world's most expensive railway. We used to be the world leaders in developing railways, and now, yeah, we can't build them at cost. 100 billion. Also, we've had huge amounts of destruction of green space, countryside areas, farming areas, hedgerows, destruction of green spaces, huge environmental impacts. There. And one of the areas that's been significantly impacted is the Chiltern Hills, which is an area of outstanding natural beauty. Yeah, the Chiltern Hills, which is an area, it's known as an A area of outstanding natural beauty, an AONB, and the railway line is going through that particular area, and it's impacting things like habitats. Okay. Now, in their defense, they are trying to build as much of the railway in tunnels underneath the ground, but inevitably it's going to create huge amounts of habitat loss as you're doing that. The last one that people are really upset about is property. The government have bought their properties to build the railway, so it's displaced a lot of people. Displaced people due to compulsory purchase of homes. Purchase of homes. So people are really upset that they've lost their home. They've had to move because of the construction of the HS2 railway line. It's obviously going very close to where they live, so it's having a huge impact there on their homes. So there's HS2. Right, I want to talk about a few more things. I want to talk about business parks, science parks, and quarries, and then we're going to leave it there because they're all really important. So one of the things we've seen as well, not just infrastructure projects, if I go back down here, enterprise zones, we've seen business parks. So the UK government is trying to put money into creating business parks. So I want to talk about that in the next section. So a business park, let's put that in there, is all part of levelling up. So they're trying to develop business parks in the north of England, in these towns that are suffering. They've got a lack of jobs. So they're setting business parks up to attract new business. So they're trying to attract new business or private investment, money from people to set up new businesses. Which then will create jobs. That's the main thing, isn't it? Create jobs in northern towns and cities. Okay. And they do this in a couple of ways. There's a few ways in which the government are trying to attract businesses to go to these northern areas. Often it is low rents. So they'll give the business a low rent, which is good. They might also give them things like super fast internet in that area, so they can actually do an online business. So they get access to fiber optic internet, low rents. They might also get low business tax. That again helps to increase their profits. Hey, come and locate your business here, and you won't have to pay as much business tax as well. And they might also be given grants for equipment, grants for machinery or equipment. Again, this is all part of the tempting the private business to locate in the north of England, which is obviously more beneficial because there's lots of people there that need jobs. So if you set up in the south of England, you will not get these perks. You will not get these benefits. But if you set up in the north of England, a place like Burton, we will give you low rents, we'll give you super fast internet, we'll give you low business tax rates, and we'll give you maybe grants for equipment. All because then the business will locate there. The business then sets up in that area, and then that will create the jobs, which leads to job creation, which is fantastic. As soon as you've got people working, that helps the economy because people have got money. They spend more money in the local shops and services. And there's more tax for the government as well. If people are working, they're paying tax. And that money goes to the government rather than having to pay benefits out, welfare money. So if you're not working, the government's paying for you on welfare. If they find you a job in a business park, they're also getting money back from you as tax. So it makes sense for the government to try and get as many businesses and as many jobs created as possible. So I've got an example of one such business park, which is called the Cobalt Business Park. It's the UK's largest business park. Cobalt Business Park, and it's in the northeast of England. Northeast of England. And it's an area where there used to be shipbuilding in there, and it's got massive deindustrialization. So they created the Cobalt Business Park, which is it's near Newcastle, basically, up on Tyneside, in an area where there's a lot of areas of lost mining. So it's the UK's largest business park. So it's just an area where there's lots of businesses next to each other. UK's largest business park. Yeah, and that's all creating lots of jobs. It's creating 14,000 jobs in that area, mainly in the tertiary sector. So working in offices, working in admin, working with computers, but 14,000 jobs in that one business park alone, which is fantastic, isn't it? All good for the northern economy. More jobs means more spending, increased spending by the people, which leads to the multiplier effect. You can't talk about economies without talking about the multiplier effect. Jobs means more money for people, means more spending, means more taxes, means more improvements in healthcare, education, everything we spend tax on, roads. It actually just improves the whole area. So the multiplier effect is the number one thing to talk about when you mention the word jobs or jobs being created. Yeah. It's just a knock-on effect of lots of positive things happening. Zoom you in a little bit there, guys. Okay. So increased spending leads to the multiplier effect as well. What else we got about let's just give you some businesses that are on there. So you've got IBM Computing, and so that's a computing company that's on there on the business park. And you've also got the Bank Santander have a business center. So Santander is the kind of Spanish-owned bank, but they've got a headquarters in the Cobalt Business Center, which is fantastic. So it's creating new, highly skilled jobs in that area. New, highly skilled employment, which is fantastic. It's a real success. And it's linked to ways to close the north-south divide. So enterprise parks and business parks. And we've now got the Cobalt Business Park. So we've got HS2, the infrastructure project, which is all about helping the north. It's not really going to help the north. It doesn't get any further than Birmingham, which is a problem. Whereas this business park is doing a fantastic job. 14,000 jobs in that area. Now, I want to talk about one other major employer in the UK economy, which is science parks. Yeah, science parks, which we think might be on the exam this year. A science park is an area of scientific businesses, basically. And the one that we're going to look at, in fact, let's just put there. Science park is a zone of scientific research-led businesses. Research-led businesses. Okay. So science-based or research-led businesses, and they're all part of the high-end, highly skilled, knowledge-based economy. So this is where some of the most intelligent workers, knowledge-based economy. You sell, what does your business sell? It sells the knowledge of how to do something, how to create a new medicine, like the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, as we talked about earlier on the live stream. So lots of jobs in high-end research, high-end innovation, science, and the UK is very good at this. We are one of the world leaders in innovation of science and new inventions. So the one I want to talk about here is the Cambridge Science Park, which is a very famous science park. It's called Cambridge Science Park. Cambridge Science Park. Sorry about my writing there, guys. So Cambridge Science Park is very important. Science Park on the northern edge of Cambridge, very famous city in the UK. And that's why the Science Park is there. So let's have a little look at the location of the Science Park. So it's very accessible. So I'm going to put a little map pin. So the Science Park is very accessible. as it's located on the A14 road, which is a major road that's going through that particular area of Cambridge. It's on junction 33 of the A14, so workers can get into that area, which means it's perfect for location. Also, it's close to Cambridge University, which is fantastic, because Cambridge University is one of the best, if not the best university in the world. Any American viewers, I know Harvard is well up there as well, but Cambridge has the reputation as being one of the best universities in the world. Some of the smartest, most talented people are kind of developed at that university, and then many of them will get jobs at the science park, which is very close by. Okay, couple of other things. It's surrounded by green space, which is a good thing when you're doing science. Surrounded by green space. It helps with relaxation. It helps with good mindset, positive mindset, developing new inventions. Remember, you're doing cutting edge science. You can't be stressed. You need to be surrounded by green space. And it has that beautiful green space environment right next to it as well. It's also next to, what was I going to say the one more actually, the guided busway. So it actually has a guided bus. So these are buses that are on tracks, basically. Yeah. And it's a very sustainable way of transport. So they're called guided bus lanes, which helps people get to work in a sustainable way using public transport. It's a guided busway. And yeah, this has really helped with getting people from the centre of Cambridge to the science park as well. So just a few facts about Cambridge Science Park then. It was developed in 1970, so it's been there. So it's been there, developed by 1970 by Cambridge University. So Cambridge University actually set up the science park by Cambridge University. So it's been there well over 50 years now. It's doing really, really well. It employs 7,000 people in some of the highest paid, highest skilled jobs in the whole of the UK. Yeah, employs 7,000 people. These are skilled, talented, highly educated workers. Skilled, talented, highly educated jobs. The sort of jobs that we need in the UK. More of those, the better for the economy. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah. So it employs 7,000 people. I'm going to highlight that a little bit. That's really important, isn't it? Okay. Let's have a look what some of the most famous things are about this. So it is where AstraZeneca was developed, the jab. The AstraZeneca, which helped to reduce COVID infections. The COVID vaccine was developed in this area, which helped with the global pandemic, which is fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, we can say that really helped there. We've also got a lot of pharmaceutical science, which is helping with medicines there. Pharmaceutical sciences. So a lot of the new medicines that are developed in the UK are developed in this science park where they test in. This is where they'll be looking for cures for cancer treatments and things like that. It's very, very high-end technical work, quaternary sector employment, which is fantastic. Just going back to green space, there's 20 acres of green space apparently in this science park. 20 acres, so that's like a bit smaller than a football pitch, but yeah, 20 football pitches, which is pretty good. So it's really getting that crucial skilled labor, high paid workforce, talented workforce into the UK economy, and it's really doing a fantastic fantastic job for the UK economy. Science Parks hasn't been on for a while, so hopefully it does come up. The last thing I'm going to do very quickly at the bottom, I've got a tiny bit of space here, is the environmental impacts of UK industries. And I'm just going to squeeze in just a few facts because I'm running out of space. Environmental impacts of UK industries. It's going to be our final little bit. And I'm going to do just two bits here. I'm going to talk about the positives and the negatives. So I'm going to talk about positives and negatives of UK industries on the environment. And for the negatives, we're going to talk about quarrying. Okay, quarrying, which is where you dig out stone in places like the Peak District. So we've got a very famous quarry called it's called Tor Quarry. So this is where they dig out stone for construction industry. This is highly damaging to the environment. So Tor Quarry has got noise and air pollution because of the dust, and they use explosives to get the stone out. So they've got huge amounts of dust and air pollution. They have to dig out the stone using heavy machinery, so that can create a huge scar on the landscape. So obviously you're going to be digging out this stone. You're going to leave a massive scar on the UK landscape in terms of the way in which it looks, which is not great. We've got also huge impacts on water pollution due to the industrial activity. Water pollution in nearby ponds and lakes at Tor Quarry in Somerset. And also we've got habitat loss, because where this quarry is, there used to be fields, there used to be hedgerows. So we've got huge amounts of habitat loss. Okay. Positive though, let's go for a sustainable industry. Sustainable industries in the UK, which is mainly the car industry. They lead in the way, car manufacturing industry, which is fantastic. So if you've got a negative environmental, go for quarrying. Yeah, lots of negatives around quarrying and digging out stone. The positive side, which is what we're going to finish up on, is the car industry. And in particular, we're going to talk about Nissan in Sunderland, which is a city in the north of England. Again, that's good for the UK economy, helping in the north of England. So Nissan is a car company, and what are they doing? They have electric vehicles. So they've developed electric cars, which are zero emissions. Let's put that underneath, zero emissions. They are electric vehicles. I don't know if you've got one in the chat. That's any parents have got one. The car that they use is called the Nissan Leaf. It's a completely electric vehicle. There we go. Which is fantastic for the environment. Also, they use recyclable materials to build their cars where possible. And also the parts that they use for the car can be recycled. Almost 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the vehicle can be recycled, which is fantastic. They also have, which is the last little thing, to power the factory, the Nissan factory in Sunderland, they actually also have a wind turbine. Wind turbine, this is the last thing I'm going to be able to put on, as a renewable energy source for the factory. Renewable energy source, which is fantastic. So UK industries are doing a lot to try and mitigate things like climate change. As you got here, the Nissan factory with its renewable energy, wind turbines, its electric vehicles is doing a fantastic job. So there you have it, guys. The UK economy, how it's changed over the last 100 years, the north-south divide. We've looked at the government's plans to how to close that north-south divide. We've also looked at HS2, business parks, science parks, and UK impacts on the environment, which is fantastic. Also, if the environment comes up, you can also talk about McDonald's maybe, because that company does a lot for the environment. You've got toilets that have got no flush, so they don't waste water. You've got the recycled waste. All the products in McDonald's can be recycled. The cups, the packaging, which is fantastic. They use paper bags. They use paper straws. Much better for the environment as well. So you can always talk about companies like that. If the environmental impacts of an industry comes up, maybe you want to talk about McDonald's as well as Nissan. You can do that as well. So there you go, guys. That is the UK economy done. We'll be back next Monday. What we're going to do, resources, I think. Yeah, let's check out the resources next Monday. If you've watched us on Catch Up, yeah, please hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you've learned a lot in today's live stream. And I appreciate everybody who's chatted and stayed here for the actual live stream. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Best of luck with your paper 2 geography. As I say, we're back next Monday for some more content. There we go. Yeah, check out the next one on Monday. Not next Monday, actually. I've forgotten. It's half term, isn't it? Half term. Yeah, so you can do some revision on your own next week. Yeah, keep that revision ticking over during the holidays. And I will be back with you on the 1st of June. Yeah, it'll be 2 days out from the exam. Wednesday the 3rd is the exam. So we'll be there for that one. In fact, I might do 2 live streams that week. I might do one on a Monday. And obviously the night before, we always do a live stream as well. So that'll be Tuesday night. Yeah, we'll do 2 live streams that week. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Lovely to see you, Joan. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.